And turn to the sudden and shocking death of rap star Juice WRLD. The 21-year-old, who was named Billboard's Best New Artist this year, suffered a medical emergency at Chicago's Midway Airport. Tribute streaming in this morning, and Eva Pilgrim is here with the latest. Good morning, Eva.
Breaking right now, we are getting our first look inside the private plane of rapper Juice WRLD. He died after suffering a seizure at Midway Airport. CBS News' Ventura Soli has been digging into the story all day.
Well, the music world tonight remembering the short life of up-and-coming rapper Juice WRLD. His real name is Jarad Higgins. He was just 21 years old. Police say he suffered some sort of medical emergency this morning at Chicago's Midway Airport. They haven't said yet exactly what caused his death. Higgins was named the top new artist at the 2019 Billboard Music Awards back in May.
December 7th, 2019. Van Nuys Airport, Los Angeles. The night air was crisp as Jarad Anthony Higgins, known to millions as Juice WRLD, boarded a private Gulfstream jet. He had just celebrated his 21st birthday 5 days earlier, tweeting that it was one of the best birthdays ever. The young Chicago native was heading home, back to the city that raised him, back to Midway International Airport. On board with him were 10 passengers, including his girlfriend Al Ilati, members of his security team, and close friends. The mood was celebratory. Juice had been dominating the charts. His second studio album, Death Race for Love, had debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 earlier that year. His latest single, Bandit, featuring NBA YoungBoy, was climbing the top 10. At just 21, he had already secured a $3 million deal with Interscope Records and amassed a fortune that most could only dream of. The footage from inside the plane tells a story of normalcy, of youth, of life. Juice moves through the cabin, laughing with his crew. In one moment caught on camera, he playfully throws water on a friend who had fallen asleep in a red jacket. The friend wakes up laughing. Everyone is in high spirits. There's no indication, no warning of what's coming. Just a young man enjoying time with his friends, completely unaware that these would be his final hours of peace. But beneath the success, beneath the laughter and the platinum plaques, Juice WRLD carried a burden he had never hidden. His music was built on vulnerability, on exposing the raw pain of addiction and mental health struggles. In interviews, he spoke openly about his dependence on prescription drugs, particularly Percocet and codeine.
For real? Nah, 2 weeks. Get a good ass cleanse.
Cleanse of what?
Meth.
The jewel?
Perks.
A week?
Chris told me.
I'm talking like months.
But like, to work your tolerance. A month. You just need to work your tolerance. Work your tolerance. You can get through 2 weeks. And I'm not saying you need to go cold turkey, but you trying really too hard to get you know what I mean? Instead of you got to go 2 weeks strong, and then that's like 14 days. That's like because like after that it won't be a problem to stop. Because look, if you let's say at least physically
maybe to quit the addiction, but he needs to not do them for a while.
Oh no, I know. You need to not do them. But like, look, because if you still do. If you still do 1 or 2 of them throughout the day, you're not gonna withdraw.
Done.
You're not gonna withdraw if you still do like 1 or 2 or 3 in a day. But
his lyrics were therapy sessions set to melody, confessions wrapped in beats that resonated with millions who felt the same darkness. In July 2019, just 5 months before his death, Juice had posted a public declaration on Twitter, addressing his girlfriend. "Bae, I'm sorry I be tweaking. You've put up with more than PPL, know I be scaring you. Codeine, I'm done. I love you, and I'm letting it be known publicly that ain't nothing messing up the real love I found. Learn from this, everyone. Addiction kills all, but you can overcome." It was a promise made in desperation, a vow that addiction would claim too many times before it finally. In a 2018 interview with the New York Times, Juice had claimed he stopped taking Xanax and was trying to curtail his drug use. He said he smoked weed and every now and then would slip up and do something that was poor judgment. He recognized he had a lot going for him, a lot of big opportunities. He wanted to be there for them. You don't have to overdose to not be there, he said. The irony of those words would haunt everyone who knew him. 3 weeks before his death, Juice WRLD had his first significant run-in with federal authorities. On November 18, 2019, at Los Angeles International Airport, customs agents and drug-sniffing dogs swarmed his private jet as he prepared to board a flight to Sydney, Australia. The dogs alerted to his luggage. Agents conducted a thorough search, though the specific findings were never publicly disclosed. Juice and his entourage were eventually allowed to board. The plane took off, but the encounter had been logged. The FBI had opened a file. Juice WRLD was now on a watch list. Federal agents suspected him of transporting drugs and weapons across state lines. They began monitoring his movements, tracking his private flights, waiting for the right moment to act. That moment would come on December 8, 2019. As Juice WRLD's Gulfstream jet descended toward Chicago, federal agents and Chicago police were already in position at Midway International Airport's Atlantic Aviation Hangar. They had received a tip, intelligence from an FBI task force that guns and drugs were aboard the aircraft. According to reports, the pilot himself had alerted authorities during the flight, informing them that members of the entourage had firearms. The plane touched down at approximately 1 a.m. Instead of the usual private hangar reception, Juice and his crew were met by a small army of law enforcement, Homeland Security agents operating under FBI jurisdiction, Chicago Police Department officers, Illinois State Police K-9 units. They were all waiting. The second video from inside the plane shows the crew after landing. The atmosphere has shifted slightly, but Juice appears calm. He's sitting in the back with a friend, looking at something together, possibly a phone. He's fully conscious, fully alert. Within minutes, he would be walking through that airport. Within minutes, everything would change. Chicago police spokesman Anthony Guglielmi would later describe what happened next. Upon arrival, officers and federal agents intercepted Juice WRLD and his entourage as they entered the lobby of the Atlantic Aviation Hangar. The group was standing with luggage loaded on 2 carts. The K-9 unit moved in immediately. The dogs alerted on the first cart, then the second. Positive hits for narcotics on both. What they found during the search was staggering. 41 vacuum-sealed bags containing a total of 70 pounds of marijuana, 6 bottles of prescription codeine cough syrup, 2 9mm pistols, 1 40 caliber pistol, a high-capacity ammunition magazine, and metal-piercing bullets. It was a federal case. Possession with intent to distribute. Illegal firearms. Juice WRLD was facing serious charges, potentially years in prison. His career, his freedom, everything he had built was about to be taken away. According to law enforcement sources and witness testimony, at some point between landing and the search, Juice WRLD made a decision. He allegedly swallowed several Percocet pills, potentially multiple pills at once, in an attempt to hide them from the federal agents conducting the search. It was a panic move, a desperate attempt to destroy evidence before it could be seized. But Percocet is oxycodone combined with acetaminophen. In high doses, it's lethal. Juice had built a tolerance over years of abuse, but there's always a threshold. There's always a limit the body can't cross. Members of his entourage later told police that Juice had taken several unknown pills. His girlfriend, Lottie, when asked by investigators if he had any medical issues or had ingested drugs, replied that he takes Percocet and has a drug problem. She was trying to help. She was trying to save him. As the search continued, Juice WRLD began convulsing. His body went into violent seizures. He collapsed. Witnesses described him bleeding from the mouth, his body thrashing uncontrollably. The pills he had swallowed were overwhelming his system. His heart was racing. His brain was flooding with opioids at toxic levels. A Homeland Security officer on scene immediately administered Narcan, naloxone, the emergency medication designed to reverse opioid overdoses. They gave him 2 doses. For a moment, it seemed to work. Juice regained some consciousness, but the damage was already progressing too far. Chicago Fire Department paramedics arrived within minutes. They found a 21-year-old male suffering cardiac arrest. They began emergency treatment, loading him onto a stretcher, rushing him out of the hangar. Chicago police dispatch audio captured the chaos. An officer reported a guy seizuring at the private airport hangar. The call went out. Units responded, but time was running out. Ally Lottie watched in horror. She ran over, screaming, trying to help him. Years later, she would recall on Instagram Live how no one helped, how she felt helpless as Juice convulsed in front of her while law enforcement focused on processing the scene. One person administered Narcan. She said, while everyone in Juice's entourage was held in handcuffs, Juice WRLD was transported to Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn, Illinois, just minutes from Midway Airport. Doctors fought to stabilize him. They worked to reverse the overdose, to restart his heart, to bring him back. But the oxycodone and codeine had saturated his system. His organs were shutting down. His brain had been deprived of oxygen during the seizures. At 3:14 a.m. on December 8, 2019, Jarad Anthony Higgins was pronounced dead. He was 21 years old. 6 days past his birthday. 6 days into what should have been the rest of his life. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office received Juice WRLD's body approximately 6 hours after his death. An autopsy was scheduled for Monday, December 9th, but when they performed the initial examination, they could not immediately determine a cause of death. They needed additional studies, cardiovascular and nervous system examinations, tissue studies, toxicology reports. Chicago Police Department spokesman Anthony Guglielmi addressed the media. After arriving in Chicago, Mr. Higgins suffered what appears to be a medical emergency with no obvious signs of foul play. Individuals aboard the aircraft are cooperating. It was a careful statement. The truth was still being processed in laboratories and toxicology reports that would take weeks to complete. Interscope Records released a statement on social media. Juice made a profound impact on the world in such a short period of time. He was a gentle soul whose creativity knew no bounds, an exceptional human being and artist who loved and cared for his fans above everything else. To lose someone so kind and so close to our hearts is devastating. Our thoughts are with Juice's family and friends, everyone at his label Grade A, and his millions of fans around the world. While Juice WRLD was dying in the hospital, federal agents continued processing the scene at Midway Airport. 2 members of his security team, Christopher Long, 36, of Buena Park, and Henry Dean, 27, of Chicago, were arrested on weapons charges. Both men voluntarily revealed they were armed when officers responding to Juice's medical emergency asked if anyone had weapons. Long had a valid FYD card and concealed carry license, but he was in possession of high-capacity magazines and metal-piercing bullets, illegal under federal law, especially in an airport. Dean faced similar charges. Both were eventually released on bond. The FBI referred the case to local authorities. Translation: the feds were done. They had made their point. The case that was supposed to bring down a rising star had instead ended in tragedy. Medical Examiner's Office released their findings. The toxicology reports had come back. The cause of death was determined: acute oxycodone and codeine toxicity.
Everybody thinks, there was this, I don't know, it was on TMZ or whatever, that like, oh, Juice knew the cops were coming, so took a handful of pills, and like, that's not what happened. I'm like, Juice did drugs, yes, you know what I mean, but he didn't try to hide them, but he literally, like, someone else held the duffel bag and had all of it. Like, there'd be no possible way for anybody to eat that amount of pills and think it's gonna be okay. And like, Juice didn't want to die. He wasn't gonna kill himself. He knew he wasn't gonna get in trouble. He had people around him that were gonna take care of, you know what I mean? Like, so like, we were even sitting there in the lobby, and his manager G Money walks up to him. They're both just like, we're all good. You're like, yeah, or they like high five each other, like, don't worry, we're all good, everything's gonna be cool. And then it was like, within a minute or two, he just started having a seizure right there in the lobby, like as they were like searching the bags and stuff like that. And then that's when like all the chaos.
In the years since Juice WRLD's death, questions have lingered. Why did the pilot alert authorities? Was there a tip, an informant within the entourage? Why did Juice panic and swallow the pills instead of simply accepting the charges? Some have criticized the federal response. arguing that the aggressive drug bust created the circumstances that led to his death. Others point out that Juice made his own choice, that addiction and panic killed him, not the police. 2 of his security guards were arrested. 70 pounds of marijuana were seized. But no one was ever charged with Juice's death. There was no criminal case to pursue. It was ruled an accident. The real tragedy is simpler and more universal. A 21-year-old with the world at his feet, with millions of dollars, with millions of fans, with everything to live for, died because he couldn't escape the addiction he had been fighting his entire adult life. He died alone in the back of an ambulance, his girlfriend screaming his name, his friends in handcuffs, his future erased in a moment of panic.